You knew this video was coming. Kirby Air Riders. Dude, I never thought this day would come. A Masahiro Sakurai directed Kirby Air Ride sequel as one of the big holiday games for the Nintendo Switch 2. Absolute lunacy. Of course this is a fake video game. Dude, I don't care what anyone says, especially with how stacked the first 6 months of this console's life was when it comes to first-party exclusives. It is so sick that Sakurai got to finally work with his baby boy again in a dream project. You gotta remember, the last time he directed a Kirby game was Kirby Air Ride for the GameCube. Hell man, Forgotten Land with some of the new stages and 60 FPS would have been fine enough for this year, but damn it, you know, I'll take this one too. What am I always saying? It's incredibly easy to be a Kirby fan? Yeah, that couldn't be more true. But that development history is interesting. Most of the time, HAL Labs, the usual Kirby studio, is too busy working on new spin-offs with different gameplay and maybe getting a follow-up if they feel like they want to waste money on an online server just for it to be dead on day 1.5. But hey, not only is this a Sora Limited project now, but Bandai Namco worked on this too. Have you seen their 2025 lineup? Where did these people find the time? I get it, you know, Sakurai had all the time in the world since he became a YouTuber and did it better than all of us could ever aspire to be. But ultimately, it all adds up to this game right here being a sick fantasy dream that should not be real, but oh my god. Now I love the original Kirby Air Ride as much as the next guy. It was my 14th favorite Kirby game of all of them at the time when I made that video a few years ago. Of course you remember that. But a brand new game, a brand new sequel to Air Ride with just more stuff in it? What do you think, I'm gonna say no to more content? Of course I'm excited. And in typical Masahiro Sakurai fashion, we have a pretty simple game at its surface level with a million fine touches across every single inch of this game, and I wanted to talk about as much as I possibly could. That's how this video is this long. Like, what do you think? I was gonna say, oh, game good, and then move on? No, we got a lot to discuss. But as someone who has been accused of being a Nintendo bootlicker, I do want to be level-headed here. Let's be realistic. This can't be a perfect video game. I do have some complaints, and before it gets all the good, I got a list. Let's get to the bad. I'm not a big fan of the new logo. Like, I get it, it does kind of align with Smash Ultimate. That was just black text and it kind of worked back then, but I don't know. After looking at the original logo and now this, it's just a little too, like, corporate, I guess. I don't know. Needs more flavor. Not a fan. And that's my list of complaints. Let's talk about the game now, shall we? With so many different components to talk about with this game, I want to start off with the major brand new mode, the story mode essentially, Road Trip. It starts off pretty straightforward. You pick a difficulty, you pick a rider, you start with the standard warp star and default stats, and then you go. What you got here on Road Trip is a consistent line of 3 route choices, each with different rewards and different challenges. Kind of similar to the classic mode from Smash 3DS of all things, but also a little bit of classic Smash events. Dude, even when you start one of these challenges, like this is just Smash Ultimate, like that, it's pretty blatant, but that's fine. Like I respect it, but oh my god, it is just Smash all over again. They did not want to hide that whatsoever. Lolo and La have the same finite detail in their render here that Sephiroth has in Smash. Like it's bizarre. There are so many different combinations of what could pop up here. You got races and air ride and top ride mode. You got simply reaching the goals in these areas with time limits instead of racing other characters. Maybe you have to defeat random rivals in a whole bunch of different challenges like the air ride courses, or maybe just a random chunk of the city trial areas. And yeah, a bunch of city trial challenges could pop up too, like destroy a bunch of boxes, eat X amount of food, defeat a bunch of attacks, or even take out one of the bosses like the Grand Wheelie or Krakow. You may even run into a race on the Oval Circuit, which is an area specifically made for the tutorials, and that's it, but that could pop up as well. Essentially, this is a means to get a little bit of the other 3 modes in at different intervals, which is so damn cool. Air ride, top ride, city trial, they're all here in this one mode. And you don't gotta stick to one thing for too long because you do one race, you move on. It's super fast paced. These different challenges throughout Road Trip are also not random. Not at all, actually. It may come off as such, but you may notice that as you progress throughout the mode, they get more difficult, but if you do multiple playthroughs, you'll notice the same challenges over and over again if you choose a challenge that already has a check mark on it, meaning you've done it before. It may try to sell you on it's just a race against a random character, but all of the characters will be preset. Sometimes there'll be items that the entire race is based around rather than just being a free-for-all. And especially when you do the city trial challenges, they're all preset, man. This is about as equivalent to the spirit board from Smash Ultimate as you can expect from Kirby Air Ride. It's cool. But there are other options that can pop up on your travel as well, like burning carts that'll give you a whole bunch of stats and you will skip a challenge, but you'll take on some damage, so you'll start the next challenge with less HP. Uh-oh. You get these high jumps, so you can jump over a row of challenges. Sometimes you can go backwards and do a challenge from the previous row all over again. Why not? Additional stats. You can get these flame wings, so then you can attack the thing to the side of you and not have to deal with the challenge, but reap the rewards. There are these little yellow birds that'll attack any challenge you do next and lower the difficulty. Sometimes there's just a copy ability to take on to the next challenge. Basically, there are so many different options that could pop up here. Structurally, this does give off very strong roguelike vibes. I mean, you start off with basic stats and you're consistently building up your vehicle, and it's mainly just for this one run, and then if you want to start a new game, you're back to square one. The main difference here though is that you can save in between each stage, so if something terrible goes on, you can just go back to that, so it's not hugely punishing, but there is an unlockable difficulty that does remove the ability to retry challenges that you fail, so it is there. They did a roguelike mode in Kirby Fighters 2, and I thought that was really fun, so I'm glad we kinda got that here too. And yeah, if you're a Kirby Air Ride aficionado, you already can tell that these stat upgrades are very much city trial coded. Like, each of the stages also have rest areas where, hey, there's a free stat upgrade for you. There's also Waddle Dee shops where you can spend some of the road miles that you're getting, which are the primary currency, to just get more stats like that, or maybe copy abilities, just whatever they have on offer. And as far as the extra machines go, a lot of these routes simply have one right there ready to pick up, and then you can swap into it and do the next challenge with that vehicle. But it also adds it to your machine arsenal. Say you fail a challenge and retry, you then have the option to change your machine to something that better suits the occasion. Once again, something you miss in the super hard unlockable difficulty. And let me say this as well, when it comes to unlocking things, if you unlock a machine in one mode, you unlock it for all of the other modes as well. That is super damn nice. They could have had it to say if you get the bulk star in Road Trip, that's all fine and dandy. You still got to unlock it in Top Ride, but no, it unlocks it across the entire board, which is so nice. To think that these are the same developers that made me unlock everything in Smash Wii U after unlocking everything in Smash 3DS. Oh, how the times have changed, but my trauma is still there. And of course, it wouldn't be a Kirby game if there wasn't a whole bunch of fan service introducing the route characters. Sometimes one of the choices on your travels are a different PNG of a familiar character. Mechanically speaking, they're dictating which stage you go to next. Like, if you take a look at the entire roadmap here, I swear to God, I'm getting Shadow the Hedgehog vibes here. Like, I don't know if that's a good or bad thing, but there's more trauma popping up right there, just right in that image. It's not explicitly stated which route is unlocked per each character, but like, say for instance, at the end of this first world is Wispy Woods. If you picked the Gordo, then you will poke the Wispy Woods with the Gordo, and that'll anger him, causing a giant jungle to show up, and then hey, your next stage is the big brawny jungle. Or you can do what I did on my first run and pick up the Friend Heart from Star Allies, where you make Wispy Woods your friend, who will then shower you with a whole bunch of sweets, and then hey, look at that, you're at the sugar-coated straightaway. And the characters they pull for this fan service, it's really cool to see. You got the Computer Virus from Superstar, a line from the Rainbow Curse. Oh my god, I can't believe they acknowledged Rainbow Curse. Poison Mash is here, which was a darker form of Cappy that was exclusive to the Revenge of the King mode from Superstar Ultra and not in the original Superstar. Oh my god, he's here too? Okay. Kapar is really funny because he just like shoots his thing and then... And dude, my bro Dale is here. Hell yeah, man. What do you mean they changed Dale's name to Soulite? I'm not calling him that. What are you, a cop? Man, it's a shame. You would think after acknowledging Kibi one time in a recent Kirby game that maybe Kibi could show up, maybe Prince Fluff, I don't know. I do feel like there is some fan service that could have been pulled from a little bit stronger than this. There has been this fear and this worry that Sakurai simply hates modern Kirby because he never really touched any of this stuff. That was all HAL Labs and not him, as he was forced to work in the Smash Mines. It is very clear that he doesn't hate modern Kirby. There are a handful of deep cuts used for the fan service route characters. I won't lie, of course I want more, but I'm still happy with what's here. That being said, you can still tell there's a little bit of shenanigans going on because the Crystal Shard from 64, like, just transports you to the Crystal Dimension. That's strange. I mean, I guess in 64 the Crystal could teleport you to a different world, and that's fine, but this does feel a little bit of a lazy pull. I'm not gonna lie. See, this is the form of complaining you can get from an intense Kirby fanboy like me. I can't help it. Ooh, but you know what? Let's spin this back around to the positive. The boss fights. Oh, this is so cool. Sometimes you'll have to tackle an actual boss encounter. You got true form Marks, of course, that makes sense. Seeing the Marks fight adapted in this giant 3D space, super cool to see. The same goes for Robo Dedede, a brand new creation. Kind of reminiscent to how King Dedede was like the main boss in Air Ride. Now it's this gigantic, cool looking robot that can transform into an actual car. It's pretty sick. But the ones that I'm the happiest to see, oh my god, Nightmare is here. Oh, I love that. That's so awesome. To see the OG Nightmare Fuel bad guy showing up in a 3D space now. It was cool to see him in Kirby Clash, don't get me wrong, but oh my god, if Sakurai has a bias to his very own Kirby games, I'll take it, because Nightmare was handled beautifully. But you know what? Even going beyond a Kirby game that Sakurai worked on, 02 from 64? Are you kidding me? I'm assuming this form being all broken and kind of glitchy is mostly to indicate that you did kill him before, so maybe this is just a different being taking the form of 02. I don't care. Still seeing him in 2025 is incredible. I won't lie, I feel like there was an opportunity to have a few more bosses that were final bosses in other Kirby games popping up here. Dark Matter could have had multiple encounters and they all could have been incredible. Hell, Galactonite, maybe he wanted to take up racing. I don't know. I'm a Kirby fanboy, alright? I'm never gonna be happy with just a little bit of fan service. I need all the fan service under the sun. But nah, all jokes aside, Road Trip, just a really fun mode. Very clearly Kirby Air Ride had some things you can do in single player, but it was always multiplayer focused. Having a really fun and kind of all-inclusive single player mode, incredible addition, and I haven't even talked about the story yet, because of course, it's a Kirby game. Of course there's a story here. One day, hundreds of air ride machines have rained down in droves on planet Popstar. Each and every one of them is sentient, but powerless, and requires someone to share their willpower to spring it to life. Sakurai made a point to say that, hey, that debut trailer where Kirby is knocking the warp star, that's the process, I guess. That's just when a TV doesn't work and you smack it, you know, like your father used to do, that's what's happening here. But those who successfully share their will with the machine are then known as a rider, and as time goes on, this rider and machine partnership is a part of everyday life. However, suddenly, on a different random day, the machines start to act strange, and they all begin to point towards an unknown destination. So, of course, everyone here, including a Cappy, is incredibly adventurous. Let's see where they're taking us. And along the way, you'll encounter a strange dark King Dedede-like being known as Noir Dedede. Okay. You know, leading up to this, I did think that was going to be Dark Matter, even though it looked like Dedede, but they're just calling it Dedede. So, as someone who has seen Dedede go through so many different design changes over the years, I am still 100% convinced there is a King Dedede multiverse, and that's just where Noir Dedede fits in, alright? There's too many Dededes out here. Now, obviously, while Road Trip is very gameplay-centric, all of the cutscenes and story revelations that take place are after you pick up these items, the pink crystals. And before talking about the details of the story, the cutscenes are beautiful. Like, the CG budget for these, if you really missed these Smash character debut trailers, you get a lot of that type of fine detail done here. They are just absolutely a joy to witness. I was hopeful that by looking at the opening cutscene to the mode, that each individual character would have a unique CG cutscene that just showed them starting their adventure, but no, we don't have that. That's fine. Once again, I acknowledge I'm greedy. The in-game cutscenes are still nice, but man, when a CG one pops up, oh, you better shut up and listen. So in the past, this inorganic life form, Zora, appeared out of nowhere, careening to the surface in an area known as the Farthest Land. Like the machines, he is sentient, but powerless, unable to move on his own, forced to just sit there and let time pass with no end in sight, but consistently wishing for freedom. Enough time passes that its wish eventually reaches the Fountain of Dreams. Once again, these CG cutscenes, oh my god, they're beautiful. And very courteous of the Fountain of Dreams, they have then CC'd that email to Galactic Nova, who makes a grand return, and Nova goes, okay, I'm going to concoct this plan to start production on a bunch of air ride machines. These machines are going to be based on Zora, and the goal was to cause the strongest will of these riders to find Zora's location, thus sharing the willpower with Zora, giving it the ability to move, etc., etc. That is the core plot that is introduced really early on in this mode, and it goes really crazy places after this. You know, you may think, oh wow, a Kirby game going some crazy dark places, of course, but yeah, man, this is Air Ride, okay? I still didn't expect it to do what it's about to do, so let's do a quick plot spoiler section real quick. We'll get back to the gameplay at this timestamp right here, alright? You've been warned. Oh my god, dude, the story goes absolutely bonkers. Like, oh my god, it makes sense. We'll get to why it makes sense, but I was blown away when one cutscene in particular pops up, but alright, let's get into the spoiler section. So it's revealed in another backstory segment that Nova, after sending out a bunch of the air ride machines, sends out drones to Zora's location, which then start to rip it apart piece by piece to eventually take its core. What the f***? And after dealing with all this pain and torment, its consciousness somehow managed to escape, and it took on the form of Noir Dedede. What? You know, I don't know why DDD was like the form to gather here, but okay, I'll take it. So, with all of these remnants that have been taken from Zora, a brand new legendary air ride, Gigantus, a weapon made to destroy the planet, was created. Okay. All it needed to awaken was the right air ride machine to return to the point of origin. So, seemingly everybody is heading towards destruction without realizing it. Instead of awakening Zora, it would be awakening Gigantus. Uh-oh. So that means that Noir wasn't evil. It was coming from Zora and trying to stop you from making it there. You, the one rider, from making it to the new Doomsday Machine. This is just Kirby's Adventures plot all over again. I realized this immediately that, oh my god, Sakurai got the opportunity to do Kirby's Adventure all over again. That whole plot was, okay, he destroyed the Star Rod at the Fountain of Dreams and gave all the pieces to his friends, like, oh, okay, cool, clearly he's the evil one, but then it turns out that DDD was simply preventing Nightmare from taking over, and then hey, it happens. That's just the plot here again. Oh my god. So of course you, the player, realizes what's about to happen, but obviously the writer doesn't, so eventually you make it to Gigantus. And against everybody's wishes, the machine eventually awakens. Gigantus is here, and thus begins a boss fight against a gigantic tank. Oh baby. This fight's crazy, man. There's just destruction happening all over the place. There are specific points on the tank that you have to hit, so with the combination of different copy abilities and items and these different launching pads, you can hit all of them. It's not incredibly difficult, it's just the spectacle is incredible. But let's say even if you fail, after a couple attempts, you can get it done just fine, and hey, you think you're done? No. Suddenly, a race with Noir DDD begins, who wants to retrieve its core. It's their core at the end of the day. And then yeah, you begin this crazy race against Noir towards Gigantus, and the problem is, if Noir makes it to Gigantus, they will self-destruct, causing a bad ending. That's right, Kirby Air Riders has a bad ending. But if you make it first, you get the good ending. You pierce through Gigantus with your machine, destroying its heart. Great. It's all good, everything no, actually, because Noir DDD also lost its heart, because that was its heart also, and it sadly withers away. Oh, that's depressing. And then the credits rolled. Oh, this first run of Road Trip took me about 3 hours, and along your travel you will see at least 10 different challenges. There are 11 stages to go through, 10 of which having branching paths, and then an additional secret 12th stage after getting all of the machines and beating the final boss again in New Game Plus. That's right, New Game Plus is a thing. It is very possible to get all the machines in Road Trip in 2 runs. On your first trip through New Game Plus, the game will indicate to you on the road map which areas have machines and which don't. So if you made an unfortunate choice during your first run and went down a path that had 3 branching paths and you picked one that didn't have a machine, and then suddenly there are 2 parallel paths with 2 machines, sadly that means you have to do a 3rd run of Road Trip. Or you could be like me and at the very end of my 2nd run manage to have enough money to buy the final machine that I needed, so I qualified for the true ending at the very last minute. That was kind of sick. I hope that happens to you too. Doesn't matter anyway, because if you want to be a true completionist, you do have to do this mode like 4 times in order to see every single stage in the route. There's one area in particular where there's 4 options, and obviously that's impossible to do more than 1 level in a run, so you want to be a full completionist, see everything this game has to offer? 4 runs right there. Good luck. But sure, you do New Game Plus, you do this all over again, you get all the machines, it's time for stage 12. You make it to the very end just like you did in the previous run, but this time Gigantus knocks you off of your machine and absorbs every machine that you've gathered along the way, now turning into Hyper Gigantus. And Noir is like, bro, it's messed up. And then he summons Dragoon and Hydra, the legendary machines from the first game. This is so sick, and then look at this. Choose. Oh my god, that's that's kind of cool. I can't believe Noir can do this, but man, I'm on board. And now you do the Gigantus fight again, but on one of those 2 vehicles, while Noir takes the one you don't choose. Basically the same exact fight, but now you're a lot more powerful, and now you kind of know what you're doing, so it's cooler. It's not that much different, but it's cooler. And then Noir shows up with this weird Dragoon Hydra hybrid? What? Where did this come from? Once you defeat the ship, Noir seizes this opportunity to fly into the core, and once he does, he fires a laser all the way into the sky towards Nova. You almost forgot that Nova was the final baddie all along, right? We're going for him. And then, it's pretty random, and I would be more upset about this if it wasn't honestly kind of sick. Through this little fireball here, now we have Leo. Another legendary machine, but this one is alive. So the machine, I don't know, but it's legendary, all right. There is like no real rhyme or reason elaborated yet, at least, as to why Leo is a thing, but Honestly, it's just really cool now that I'm on this super fast fire cat. Like, oh, this is really sick. And then we finally make it to level 12. We go to the Journey's End. This is the time we get to do the boss refight section of the game. And even though you do have Leo and you're a lot more powerful, you can still die. If you go through this entire run and not beef up your defense to where you really need it to be, you could still die quite a bit. The 0-2 fight, oh, it was actually kind of annoying, I'm not gonna lie. I need to get better at it, but man, on this run, I was dying a lot. But the cool thing is not the boss refights, is that every time you complete one, in the transition between stages, you can see you're getting closer to Nova every single time as he's slowly turning towards you. This is terrifying. This thing is the devil. And then when you get to Nova, it starts off with just the fight from Kirby Superstar. Like it's a side-scrolling fight against these metal podiums that are around Nova's heart. Like, it's a side-scrolling segment. You can move forward and backward, but like, what? This is crazy. And then you take out the podiums and suddenly it's a full 3D space and you got to go and tackle the heart. Oh, this is kind of sick. With the Superstar Nova music in the background, it's just the ending to Superstar again. The story was so much about Kirby's adventure, and this endgame is Kirby Superstar. It's genius. Sakurai has his favorite Kirby games, and that's fine. Not a difficult fight, but it's certainly a really awesome one. But soon enough, you take out the heart and you're done. You save the day. Nova explodes. It does the same exact thing it did in Superstar. And then credits. The rider can now return to their pop star. But hey, post-credit scene, the core is still there, and thus Zora is able to be reassembled, and they then all ascend to the heavens. The good ending. And then yeah, you get Noir DDD as a playable character. If you were on the slower side getting into the good ending of the story mode, there's a good chance you already saw Noir DDD while playing online, so you got spoiled, I guess. But yeah, that wraps up the story mode of Road Trip in Kirby Air Riders. And unlike other modern Kirby games, there's not really some immense story details that are stuck on some pause screen with really subtle storytelling. What you see here is kind of what you get, but it's still pretty wild to see this tone in Kirby Air Ride. It's no surprise ultimately that Kirby does go down this route, but it's certainly a lot more ominous, which feels pretty on brand for Sakurai, I feel. Because Nova really is the biggest lore dump of this entire game. He's such a fascinating character now. He was just some creepy cat-faced thing before, but now he's back? Returning is wild. Obviously, this design has shown up in other Kirby games in the past, but this is intended to be the true Nova from Superstar, I guess? Which then technically makes the Superstar Ultra Meta Nightmare mode canon since Nova was revived in that one, I guess? I don't know. At the end of the day, Nova is just now the series' ultimate monkey's paw. Like, you wish from him, and he will work on it, but also he might kill you in the process. I mean, Marx did wish for the domination of Planet Popstar, and Nova said, all right, bet. I'm actually gonna destroy it instead, but you know, for a second, you thought. But granted, this could also be like a totally separate Nova, but then if that's the case, that's terrifying because how many of these are there? Like outside of all this cool stuff in the road trip mode, there's an unlockable track in Air Ride that is Galactic Nova. And the spectacle of this stage is insane. You are racing around Nova, attacking another planet and the planet retaliating against him. And then you can go inside of Nova and you're doing the whole final segment of Superstar as a racetrack now, and it's insane. But like, I don't know, is that the same Nova? Because why is this war taking place? I don't understand. This track is also a lot better than the Nebula Belt, which is the final track of Kirby Air Ride, which you unlock after doing a run of Galactic Nova. Nebula Belt, really not a good track. As the final track of the original game, it's pretty damn weak, man. It's one of the worst tracks in the game. I mean, I appreciate it, it looks cool, but that's terrible. But this is another instance of hilarious scenarios where some new Kirby game comes out and new players come along trying to see what all the hubbub is about, and they go, bro, does Kirby always go this hard? Yes. Since 1993, yes, Kirby has always gone this hard. Catch up! It's also worth pointing out in the spoiler section that you do eventually unlock Leo and Gigantus in City Trial as well, not just Dragoon and Hydra. Similarly, you have to get the different parts and hopefully you can maintain all three, and if you do, you can transform into them. Makes sense to me, but you heard me right. Gigantus. If you are lucky and fortunate enough to get all the pieces of Gigantus during City Trial, you turn into a gigantic tank and suddenly everyone is trying to kill you as you are running rampage throughout the city. And then there's no more choice on what the stadium is. The stadium event is going to be you as Gigantus with everyone else trying to take you down. This is insane. It is so incredibly rare to be able to transform into Gigantus during a City Trial 5-minute segment online. But if you do, or if someone else does, that's basically game over. Like, there's no use really trying to fight it. You can try and take out Gigantus because that is the only way you can get a Gigantus gummy for the gummy menu, so that's a fun little challenge, but God, just the fact this is possible is crazy. There's also a Nova track in Top Ride, which is kind of cool because there's portals that transport you during the race. It's cool. It's better than Nebula Belt. And there you go. That's the end of the spoiler section. Oh, hey, yeah, well, that's right. We can actually talk about how the game plays now. It took long enough, right? The first returning mode of the main racing mode, Air Ride. It's about as straightforward as you can expect if you're familiar with Air Ride. You accelerate on your own, one button can do a brake, and then if you hold the button long enough, you build up this meter, and if the meter gets filled, boom, you let go, you can do a little bit of a boost. You combine that with drifting around turns, and then boom, you're suddenly racing. But compared to the original game, you got a bunch of brand new courses that are absolutely beautiful from start to finish. Oh my god, it's a pretty game. And also unlockable, all the old courses. They did get a bit of a glow up in the transition to Switch 2, not as pretty as the new stages, but hey, I'm simply happy they're here, because Checker Knights, really fun stage. I would have actually been kind of upset if that wasn't in this game. There's a bunch of new racers too. In the original, it was just a bunch of different Kirby colors, Meta Knight and Dedede. But now, a whole slew of additional characters, Bandana D, Chef Kawasaki, Rick the Hamster, a bunch of enemies too, like Cappy, Scarfy, Starman, the return of Lolo and La La La, DeRoach, okay, you know, Squeak Squad was such a mid-game, but I'm happy he's here. And then the modern trio of incredible brand new characters, Magalore, Taranza, and Susie. Oh, I am so happy they were included. Elfilin, I don't know, they're dead, I guess. I don't know, their exclusion is definitely strange. Riders also have additional color variations, like for Meta Knight, you have Dark Meta Knight and Galactonite. That's sick. The DDD color palettes are basically ripped right out of Smash Brothers. Rick has a brown variant, so now he just looks like an actual hamster. By the way, the detail of the fur of the Rick render, it's insane. The Magalore color variant is from Magalore Epilogue. Susie's is Parallel Susie. Like, it's just really cool. A lot of the characters, it is just another color palette, but it's really cool that some of these are actually references to other appearances from these games. Also, you have a whole wardrobe of hats that you can add to these characters. Cowboy Rick, y'all. Hell yeah. Every single rider can also use copy abilities. Good. It spits in the face of what is Kirby canon, and Sakurai said, that's fine, I don't care, I just want the game to be fun, and I can respect the hell out of that. Riders also have a brand new special move. Going against everything you know about the original Kirby Air Ride, there is a second button to worry about now. Over time, you will build up this meter, you can activate a special, and get a 1-up on the competition, and every single character has a different special. In fact, Kirby has 4. Depending on what character you pick, it's not just a color swap, it's a special swap as well. A lot of it does just boil down to, hey, you go faster, and if you hit an enemy, boom, you knock him out for a little bit. But hey, the flourish is really nice. Once again, shout out to my boy Rick. He just starts to book it. And while many of these characters do play relatively similarly despite size differences, there's also some special traits for individual characters too, like DeRoach. If you attack a rider in front of you that has a copy ability, you can steal that copy ability. What a dirty thief. Dare I call him a rat? You get it? Because that's what he is. That's a bad joke. Taranza will sling around corners with his web. If you go in air as Susie, her boosters will give her an extra jump. I'm sure this results in a tier list of which characters are the best to use, but I don't care, I just think it's cool. Of course, and there's new machines as well. Plenty of them returning, and they all give you a whole bunch of different attributes, but there's new additions to this arsenal as well. You got simple ideas like the winged one being good at flying, and Shadow has some more strength. You got some mechanical differences like the wagon can't boost, so it's higher in other categories. Swerve can't drift. Each attempt to boost stops it in its tracks. When you look at some of the new options, you got the Hop Star, where by doing a quick spin you'll do a jump. Vampire Star, if you attack an enemy from behind with it, you'll get a sudden speed boost. That's kind of cool. Paper Star is a much better flyer because it weighs basically nothing, but as a result, it's a lot more fragile. I really enjoy the new Chariot because it's really good at turning and sometimes maneuverability. Just my favorite trait to have maxed out. You got the Tank that turns totally differently, like when you go and drift in a turn, the tank keeps moving in the direction you started in, but then boom, you're just off in the other direction. So like it's this combination of the Swerve Star, but also you keep your speed. Oh, it's really fun. The Transform Star. Oh, this is crazy. It has 2 different forms, one that's better at movement and one that's better at flying, and then by doing a quick spin, it changes just like that. Oh, that's so sick. Something that I've seen as a whole new group of people are giving Kirby Air Ride a shot for the very first time with Air Riders. They go into this expecting it to be like Mario Kart, like, okay, I go in, play as this vehicle looks kind of cool, we're off to the races, and then go, that was weird, that was like way too simple, and I didn't like how my vehicle played, so I guess it just ain't for me. But just like how it was in the original game, there is an unexpected level of complexity to the machine you pick, and now the rider you pick as well. These combinations actually kinda matter. Like, I'm sure playing as Cappy with a normal Warp Star isn't going to be high on your list of priorities, but sometimes it may still be fun to play that way, you know? Or you can be someone who is cultured and go, hey, Rick with the Battle Chariot. Of course that's the best one. But like any RPG with multiple classes and you're trying to figure out just which one best matches your playstyle, that's what Kirby Air Riders is all about too. I've seen people say that they love the Swerve Star, and I'll be honest, I hate it. Never liked it. Never once in the GameCube games, don't like it here. But you know what, that's fine. I got dozens of other options to pick, all with their own lists of pros and cons, and hey, there are just some that I attach to better than others, and it just takes a little bit of time and replaying stages over and over again to figure out what's best for you. And that's okay. Some people need to hear this. Kirby Air Ride ain't Mario Kart, and that's okay. Alright, enough of that tangent. There's the brand new swap relay mode where after you get to a new lap, you'll change vehicles. That's really fun. Once again, you can play with a whole wide variety here, and now there's a mode built for it. Hell yeah. And yeah, I did mention copy abilities before, but of course, I really want to go in depth on the copy abilities too because this is a fun conversation. A bunch of these are returning and they act exactly as you would expect them to, like fire, of course, you shoot fire. Makes sense. Tornado and wing don't show up, they were in the original and not here. Plasma returns, but it does act differently. Before you have to move the control stick over and over again to build a meter. Now, does it on its own. Thank God. There's a handful of other abilities from the Kirby franchise that show up in Air Ride for the first time, like Cutter, Drill, Fighter, Jet, Missile, and UFO. Oh my god, I'm so happy to see UFO back. And of course, in typical Kirby fashion, enemies will pop up along the race and then you consume them and that's how you get the powers. Makes total sense, but there's also brand new enemies for a handful of these abilities. Like Drill, Jet, Fire, there are brand new enemies in the Kirby universe that give you these powers. And I don't know, man, I've always thought that was super cool. I love that it's not just one enemy type that gives you fire and that's it. Now there's this brand new flying creature that gives you fire. Sure, man, why not? Welcome to the family. But brand new to the ability arsenal, we have Flash, where after a full boost charge will let you just zip on through at supersonic speeds. That's a pretty fun ability. And also, Steel Ball. Does exactly what you think it does. Turns into a giant steel ball, you can wreck the competition, you have great maneuverability. Just hopefully you can make it ahead of your opponents now. Just look at that Steel Ball run. Fun fact, we have two brand new abilities. Steel Ball was introduced first. Leading up to this game, we had 68 copy abilities in the entire pantheon of copy abilities, which means they could have made this Flash, but instead they gave us Ball for 69. Thank you, Sakurai. I appreciate you. You could have just like made these revamped versions of Light and Ball from Adventure, but nah, you went the extra mile, made Ball 69. God, I love you. Oh yeah, Top Ride. I mean, I'll just say it. I wouldn't have been mad if Top Ride didn't show up in this game. I get it. Sakurai wants to make sure that his previous work show up in his newer works to make an ultimate version of Kirby Air Ride. I'm totally fine with it. I'm not against it. I just wouldn't have cared because Top Ride was never the strongest mode. It was always the weakest one. And that is the same case here, but I'll give him credit. They did add a lot of flourish. So it's exclusively new courses, no old courses show up, which is fine because those old courses were incredibly tiny and this game is way faster. There's a big change to how this mode controls. Before you had the Free Star and the Steer Star, which would be essentially if you held upright on the analog stick, you would go upright in game versus the Steer Star where you're constantly just tilting left and right and turning. Two completely different styles. That option is still here, you can just attach it to whichever vehicle you want. That's nice. That's about all I have to say about Top Ride. There's like a couple new items that can mess with the competition and that's cool. Really, they did the best with what they could do with Top Ride. Outside of going for the challenges, there's not a whole lot of reason to do Top Ride over and over again. Like even when I tested the game online, had no problems getting into Air Ride and City Trial matches, but it actually took a little bit to get into Top Ride. That's just the nature of this mode, man. There's only so much they could have done. I will say this though, in one of the races I did, I managed to tie with two other CPU racers down to the millisecond. How? What? How? Oh, what? If that's the same millisecond, bro. How? What? I am so glad to have that recorded. Dude, City Trial being relevant in modern gaming, I'm just so happy. Welcome to the brand new world of Skya, your brand new playground for like 100+ hours of gameplay, man. Dude, City Trial is like objectively the best mode, one of the most fun modes in any multiplayer game ever. And they could have made a Kirby Air Ride sequel that just had this mode and nothing else. It could have just been a City Trial game and I would have been fine with it. Like that's how good City Trial is in my mind. Essentially, it's just absolute insanity, okay? The game starts, it says, hey, there's 5 minutes. Whatever happens, happens now. Like the main goal is to just go around on your basic vehicle, find a vehicle that you like, and then go to that, and then build up a bunch of stats so you can eventually do a minigame at the very end. That core business statement about City Trial is still here, but oh my god, it's more insane than I could have ever possibly imagined. So the whole swapping vehicle thing, well now you can do it without dismounting. There's just an extra button you can press and then boom, you jump right to it and you can continue on playing. You don't have to jump off and then jump onto a new one. No, you can just swap from one to another. And the best part about that is if you see an opponent character who's about to explode, you can kill them and take their vehicle. Oh, that's so cool. There's a bunch of food PNGs that can give you health. There are items all over the place. Many of them are in boxes, so you're gonna want to go in and break the boxes and get a bunch of stat upgrades that way. Or sometimes you can get these completely crazy items that you can use to attack opponents, like this laser beam, where you can summon meteors from the sky. Maybe you can just start spinning indefinitely and have a hitbox around you that entire time. And on top of that, you can now store some items in reserve. So hey, that's cool. The more destruction, the better. There's a new rival system where if someone defeats you, they will now be marked, so you can target them specifically, and if you defeat them, you will get more than the usual power-ups that you would get for defeating any other rider. All those little changes make the second-to-second gameplay of City Trial just that much more fun and intense, and oh my god, once again, things can just happen at randomly. Look up in the sky, it's Mega Gordos. They're coming in, there's a million of them. Oh god. Hey, now the boxes are big. Now the boxes are small. Oh, now everyone can't stop spinning. This is gonna be nauseating. Oh, suddenly everyone goes at incredible max speed. Okay, good luck figuring out where you're going. Now these portals can pop up where if you go into them, it'll shoot you into another area, and then if you just keep going in a straight line, you get a line of new stats just for maintaining this straight line. Sometimes keys will pop up, and then okay, cool, you get the key, and then you gotta find treasure chests, and everyone's scrambling to get to the treasure chest because you can get a bunch of stats that way. Sometimes the friggin' halberd can show up in the sky randomly with items all on top of it, so if you manage to stop what you're doing and manage to get all the way up there, you get some rewards. And that's really cool. There are other floating islands that pop up from time to time, and they will also give you a bunch of items, but they're incredibly difficult to get to. But if you do, super rewarding. And also, probably my favorite thing here, maybe sometimes the game will go, hey, a short race is about to take place in this area of the map. Everyone get to this destination, and then you get there, and suddenly you're doing a micro race in the middle of all this insanity. Just a one-lap race. First place gets a bunch of items, second and third place get less items. Like, oh my god, it's so fun and frantic because then you're right back into the thick of City Trial. Or you could partake in a dust-up derby, where now you're also all participating in this arena, but just trying to kill each other, man. Like, there's a lot of violence going on in this game. This is all something a free roam mode and an equivalent Nintendo game that has racing could really have benefited from, you know? This is so much fun. And the beauty about all of these different things that could pop up at any given moment during this time period, you can also just say, no, you know what? I'm not gonna participate. I'm just gonna go about my business and collect items my own way. I mean, why not, right? A bunch of characters are gonna be going in and trying to race, and many of them are gonna fail. Suddenly, this entire area of Skya is free for me and me alone. So let me score up on some more guaranteed items, you know? I love that freedom. And once again, like everything else in this game, Skya is a beautiful, massive floating land. It's so much bigger than the city in the original game, and there are multiple new layers to everything as well. I already talked about the islands in the sky, but of course, there's areas underground as well. There's a whole alternate dimension you can tap into if you go down a volcano. That's pretty cool. It's just, man, they knew City Trial was like the mode to focus on. It definitely feels like outside of Road Trip, they focused most of their time and energy onto this mode, and it was worth it, man. Oh, I love it here. But of course, at some point, the timer hits 0. And now, it's time for a stadium minigame, and this is also dramatically different. If you go in with just your default settings, you'll be presented with 4 different options. Some of them may say recommended based on what stats you have, but as you can see here, you have the choice of what you do next. And it's worth pointing out that you can change how the voting system works, or toggle it off completely. But say if you do City Trial with less than 8 players, everyone will do the same stadium. All the players vote, and it'll pick one randomly for those that were chosen. But if you did City Trial with over 9 people, it could actually go up to 16, even though those groups will be split up into 2. Everyone will participate in the stadium that they choose, no matter how many other racers pick it. Up to 8 can compete in a single stadium at any given time, but there's also the opportunity that you are the only one that picks a stadium game, and then you win by default. Hell yeah. There are some additional variations on this whole process, like the stadium can be pre-chosen and it'll be announced before the match starts, which is really clever because then it completely changes your mindset for which stats you want to build up during your run. So if you know a boss is coming, you know to prioritize offense instead of flight, which would be useless in a boss encounter. Sometimes you may be lucky and you'll pick up a prediction codex item that'll tease for you what the predetermined stadium game will be, but it could also lie to you. Thanks, bro. I'm getting Sonic Adventure 2 Meteor Herd hint flashbacks. But yeah, once you get into the stadium, it's just a little minigame to test your skills. It could be a normal race, it could be a drag race in a new area, you could be thrown into this arena where you have to take out more enemies than your opponents. There's a lot of returning ones, and of course, some brand new ones here as well. There's a skydiving challenge where there's a bunch of rings with numbers in the middle of them. They all give you points. The most points by the end, of course, wins. There's gourmet race where you have to get more food than your opponents. Of course, seeing gourmet race in a Kirby game, big fan of that. You got these crazy laser gauntlets, which are kind of like drag races, but just with a whole lot more shiny lights. Oh, Rail Panic, I love this one. I'm a Sonic fan, of course I love this one. Other boss fights can pop up around here as well, like, hey, you got the return of Dynablade. Great, I love her. I love that the game was like, oh, destroy the mysterious bird. God, I wonder who this is. I love City Trial so damn much, man. One of the benefits of getting a game like this so early in the Switch 2's life is I know I will be coming back to this on a regular basis for decades, the same way I did with the original GameCube game. But similarly to Air Ride, I've seen some new players come into City Trial and just act completely confused about what the selling point is. The online betas that took place before the game released were just exclusively the City Trial mode, so if you have no idea how insane it could be, yeah, I guess maybe it could be a little off-putting. But here's the thing, man. This is a game just about fun. Like, that's really it. Not to insult you if you don't understand what this game's all about, but it's just fun. Do not take it seriously. You are building up a bunch of stats. Many of them will likely not be important whatsoever for the stadium game you partake in, but that's fine. Just do another game, and then whatever happens, happens. It's just fun. It's just a fun video game, and sometimes that's all you need. That's what worked decades ago on the GameCube game. They made it, I feel, objectively better, and it's all I ever could have asked for. I'm telling you, man, you do one game where you're lucky enough to get the legendary machines, and then you can just plow through the competition in any stadium game they wish to compete against you in, and it's a feeling like no other. Dude, and you can do all of these modes online? Dude, City Trial with local friends, fine and dandy, but oh my god, you can go online and play with a bunch of people who actually know what they're doing, so it's even more insane. Oh my god. Oh, it's a good video game. Okay, with the heavy majority of what the game is essentially all about out of the way, there are so many additional things in every single corner of these menus that I'm going to talk about right now, because there's so much, I gotta get it done now. Hey, $50 amiibo! Yeah, I bought them. Listen, alright? The price of everything sucks. I get it. $50 for amiibo? That's insane. But hey, they come in two parts. You can swap the rider and the vehicle if you want to. And if you scan the amiibo, it actually can detect which of the two things it is. So that's kind of cool. Realistically, I do think these amiibo are worth more money than the $13 they used to go for at retail, because the detail of these new figurines are immaculate. So many small touches and differences in each of the textures of these characters and machines. Like, I understand, these are definitely higher quality products. $50 is insane, but you also don't have to be me. All you do in-game is do the same figure fighter thing you used to do in Smash, which, I don't know, I never participated in, I don't think it's fun. You scan your own personalized figure, you can play against it and build up its stats, and then essentially you're supposed to go over to a friend's house and have your amiibo go up against their amiibo. It's the same thing you can do in Smash. I didn't do it then, I'm not gonna do it here. I spent $50 on these things, and now they're gonna just sit in my amiibo shelf until I die. So, cool. Welcome back, Starlink! Oh, wait a minute, that's not true. I can actually change the little toy on the main menus depending on which amiibo I scan. Dude, in a few months I'll get to have Chef Kawasaki on the main menu of a Kirby game. That's kinda cool. Oh yeah, by the way, this menu is gorgeous. I love how this works. You pick Air Ride and then boom, you go to a different area and the Kirby like will fly over to it. Like, oh, it's great. It's great stuff. Throughout all of your playtime, you will collect a currency known as miles, and you can use them to spend money at the shop here, where you can buy a whole bunch of other hats, you can buy additional music tracks. Miles are not just for the road trip mode, you can buy some additional stuff here as well. The checklist is back, essentially the in-game achievement system, always accessible on the main menu by clicking ZL, which is very nice. There are 150 achievements for each major mode in the game, as well as an additional set of 150 exclusively for online, meaning the game has 750 achievements. Oh my god. By simply playing the game and maybe picking some different racers or vehicles, you're gonna unlock a bunch of these. But this menu still acts the same way it did before. After you unlock one, the challenges surrounding it, it'll tell you what to do to unlock that square. And what's nice is you unlock nothing major by doing the achievements for the online section, just decals. Sakurai made sure to say that he didn't want to restrict any major gameplay components by forcing you to go online, so I'm okay with that. And if the challenge is something specific, like do this race under this time limit with this character, you can press this button here that says attempt, and it'll automatically bring you into that mode with that character, and you can just go. That's so cool. But on these boards, you will sometimes see vehicles and riders that are the same unlockable across different modes, but you don't unlock the same thing again. That wouldn't make sense. If you unlock a square for a character you already have, that's how you get their alternate color. If you unlock a vehicle that you already had, that's how you'll get My Machine parts. Oh yeah, My Machine, where you can take any of these machines and you can change their color, add different textures and effects and accessories and stickers. You can make the machine of your dreams, and of course, by having an online shop where people can share the different creations online, welcome back, Metopia. You can build your own garage and store your favorite creations in an explorable 3D environment, but dude, some of these creations people have made online, absolutely insane. I've seen the boxy wagon turned into a GameCube. Of course, so many of these vehicles have been turned into Pokemon, that makes total sense. Some of the things people have been able to do with the Transform Star are absolutely mind-boggling. But then yes, of course, we gotta get our bikini mobiles in here, hooray. Did we not learn our lesson from the online sharing from Smash? Like, just a hellscape is ready to be thrown onto us. The floodgates are opened, and I'm scared. But also, the online sharing has a unique economy. If you find a machine you like, you can use the miles to buy it, but let's say a lot of people have already liked it and purchased it, the more favorable it is in the greater community, the more expensive it becomes. What? Alright, whatever you say, man, that's crazy. Kirby Air Riders deserves a special nod for its accessibility options. Air Riders is so much faster than the original game, and that's just not based on feel, it's also based on screen effects. The way the camera works and the way speed lines pop up, everything just feels so much faster. And the reality is, there's a lot of people who are not going to be able to enjoy the game to its fullest like that due to motion sickness. And while this accessibility menu may not be able to be a one true solve-all issue for someone who can't handle the default options, the fact that you can add a grid overlay to the game and you can change how the camera works and you can have such fine detail on so many different elements of the screen is honestly remarkable. As someone who is never sensitive to anything these accessibility menus and games are looking to help with, it's easy to take a position that most games should have things like this. At the end of the day, the more people who are able to play these video games, the better. You should not be forbidden from playing a game you'll think you'll enjoy just because you physically aren't able to. Like, hey, control-wise, Kirby Air Ride's a basic game. You just move with the analog stick, you have one button and now a second button, whoop-de-doo. But you still have full button options. If you want to play the game one-handed with just a Joy-Con, you can do it. All this stuff is great, and the fact that it got shafted at the Game Awards for the Innovation and Accessibility category, despite releasing one day before the cutoff point that they make sure to specify in their FAQ, just saying, it's a little gross. It should be there. Coming in from Smash Brothers, My Music is back as well. Naturally, it's a Kirby game, the soundtrack is great, and being able to dictate how often one song plays over another, great touch. Of course, you got the options like sound, music, voices, that all makes sense, but with the press of one button here, you can have all the categories going at once, and you can mess with the volumes on the fly. So rather than just hoping and guessing, you can actually hear what it's going to sound like before you leave the menu. How do more games not do this? You can change the narrator's voice for the in-game cutscenes, which is an independent choice from the announcer voice. On top of being able to play the multiplayer modes online, there's also online lobbies with this paddock system, where you can just hang around with your buddies and watch other games being played before hopping into another game yourself. Okay, love that. There's the global win power system from Smash, where basically the better you do, the more points you get. It's less convoluted than it was in Smash, which is a good thing, but ultimately it doesn't really matter all too much. It does appear better though with the new licenses, where you have a license for every single mode that you can customize and level up independently. That's cool. There's even unlockable titles you can attach to your name, and you got things like and subscriber. Oh god. Yeah, man. Sakurai was a YouTuber for a little bit, alright. There are daily air ride challenges where you'll go online and do a race on a predetermined course, and that's separate from the limited time event function, where now there's reasons to do these specific things in this little time window. You got these personal best leaderboards that'll keep track of your best times for characters and different machines on all the different courses across all the different modes, but this mode does not go online. They're just for you. That's why they're the personal best. I'm led to believe this is so they don't deal with hackers and cheaters that will eventually just pop their way up to the top of the leaderboard and then, hey, wow, you did this course in 0.1 seconds? That's crazy, I'll never beat that. It would be nice to have an online friends leaderboard, but whatever, it's fine. Not only is there local split screen, there's also local wireless play, and also LAN play just right there. You don't gotta do a secret button configuration, it's just there. You can play with the Pro Controller, the Joy-Cons, you can play with the GameCube controller because of course it's Sakurai's favorite thing. There's an in-game photo mode, you press the pause button and then boom, you can take a gorgeous photo. There's the gummies, which is just such a weird thing. You just unlock gummies of different vehicles just by playing the game, and it's not for anything. It's just for this one screen that's a Winamp visualizer, and you can just mess with the gummies. That's it. That's all it's for. Guys, there is so much to this otherwise really simple video game. Sakurai is a madman. In one of the Kirby Air Riders directs, Sakurai made a point to say there will be no DLC. He wanted to go as all out as he possibly could with this game to be ready at launch. If that's the case and they really add no content going forward, I'm not gonna lie, it is a little bit disappointing because the only thing that I think is kinda lacking is general fan service. I mentioned the route characters before, but then there's things like the My Music section. Just load that up with a bunch of classic Kirby songs. You don't even need to remix them. Just give me the entire arsenal of Kirby soundtracks all the way back to Kirby's Dream Land and let me race with green greens from the Game Boy game. I don't see why not. The roster, certainly strong, but certainly kind of small from what I'm used to with Sakurai. No Adeline or Ribbon? That's kind of strange. Oh, sorry, I did slip some more complaints in there right at the very end. I know, I'm a rotten liar. So is Kirby Air Riders a 10 out of 10 video game? I certainly had a lot of good things to say about it. No. You know, I don't think a game like this, it's actually possible to be a 10 out of 10. But that being said, who cares, actually? The game is an absolute blast and there are a ton of things to do. I mean, really, if you want to quantify it, I guess it's like, I don't know, a super high 7? And God, that feels too low, saying that out loud. Let's just say a mid 8, you know? But sometimes, if you play enough video games, you know 7 and 8s are sometimes the most fun you could possibly have. But before we end this and we move on to the next Kirby game that's going to come out in like 3 months, God, I don't know. I do have one formal request for the game's director. Dear Masahiro Sakurai, I know you're watching this. Request, okay? You do not have to make another Smash Brothers game after this. You've done enough. Everyone likes to joke that, oh, now that Sakurai got to make his Kirby game, he can finally go back to Smash and just make us another Smash game on Switch too. And he really doesn't need to do that. He did really good with Smash and has proven capable over and over again that for any franchise he touches, he just shows so much love and care and attention. He did that with Kid Icarus. He did it again with Kirby. Oh my God, man, do something else. Or quite frankly, you could just move on with your life. You did say you wanted like a quiet lifestyle, but man, you're in the video game field and you're one of the best to ever do it. I don't think that's possible. So, onto the actual request part. Let's say that we can actually request a game from Sakurai. Diddy Kong Racing. I've been requesting this for years. I'm tired of waiting. Look, I know I just got like the Kirby game of my dreams, but let's be honest here, I'm also a Nintendo fan, and as we all know, Nintendo fans are never happy. Thanks for watching.